Welcome back everyone to yet another Star Wars video. I'm doing this video a bit differently and I'll be doing many more like this. I'll continue doing facts and legends videos like I have been, but I am now also working on making this part of a series. So technically this is part 1 of the series Vader's Untold Stories. I'm getting many of these stories from the Vader comics, which I find really interesting and think you guys will too. Anyway, let's get into it. Vader's Untold Stories Part 1. It is a period of insurgence. Rebel spaceships striking from a hidden base on a moon of Yavin have won a shocking surprise victory against the rightful reign of the Galactic Empire. The Empire's ultimate peacekeeping force, the Death Star, was destroyed due to an unforeseen design flaw. Without this deterrent, the rule of law is in danger. Chaos looms. For the 19 years after the vanquishing of the Jedi and his painful rebirth on volcanic Mustafar, Sith Lord Darth Vader has faithfully served his master. But now, he has failed the Emperor and must pay the price. For personal matters, Vader travels all the way back to his home planet of Tatooine. It is not something that he wanted to do in the least, however, he knew it must be done if he was to talk to Jabba. He lands his ship and walks over to the front gate. The small droid comes out to see who it is, but with a command of the Force, the gate is lifted from Vader. The light shines through an empty hallway where 2 Gamorrean guards stand security. Without hesitation, Vader begins to walk past them, but they stick out their staffs, blocking him from moving. Vader slowly looks to the creatures that dared defy him, and with a swift motion, ignited his lightsaber and swung at them. Before they even had a chance to react, their arms lay bloody at the floor, and they fall to the ground, dead. Vader distinguishes his lightsaber and steps over the body to continue on. He is now soon met with Bib Fortuna, who greets him in Huttese. Vader is not so quick to kill Fortuna. "I will speak with the Hutt." Vader's voice echoes through the hall. He makes it clear to Bib Fortuna that he is not to be denied, as he ignites his crimson red blade. In total fear, Fortuna bows and runs off to Jabba. Vader slowly follows him throughout the doorways and halls. Bib Fortuna comes running in to greet Jabba. He yells, "He's here," in Huttese. All eyes are now focused on Bib Fortuna and Jabba. "Wake, Master, wake!" Jabba slowly opens his eyes in irritation. He's butchered the guards. Bib is smacked by Jabba. As Vader enters the room, Jabba locks eyes with him. "You arrive a day early, kill 2 of my guards, and expect me to deal with you?" Jabba yells. In silence, the whole room looks to Vader. Boba Fett, Dengar, IG-8, and 4 LOM are all there watching. Vader speaks in his deep voice. "I have only killed 2. Do not make me reconsider my generosity." Jabba looks away for a moment before speaking. "What can I do for the Empire, Lord Vader?" "Dismiss the audience, Hutt," Vader commands. With a wave of his hand, the room clears out. All the audience crams through a small door to obey Jabba. Vader points directly at Jabba. "I will return here tomorrow in my official capacity. This is a personal issue, and will end to my satisfaction." Jabba lets out a deep, mocking laugh. "Do not even think to try to perform a mind trick. They do not work on the great Jabba." Vader takes a step closer in anger. That is not the way of the Sith. You haven't dealt with a Jedi in a long time. They are gone. The reason why stands before you. Step carefully." The room falls silent. The only noise was the deep, slow breathing of Vader. Jabba let out another laugh, but this time he knew better than to mock Vader. "Do you know the bounty the rebels have for that head of yours?" Again, silence fills the room. "What the darker factions alone offer should be a compliment to you, Vader." Jabba lets out a small smile. "The Emperor's bludgeon alone, in secret. If you disappear, no one would ever know." Jabba slides his hand over to the controls of the trapdoor. Vader is standing directly over the gateway to the Rancor Pit. Vader senses the unease in the Force and steps back before Jabba could kill him. Jabba is disappointed. He could have gotten the only things that matter to him. Credits. Jabba's deep voice speaks once again. I see you know enough to step carefully. But tell me, are you brave or foolish?" Vader directs his eyes directly at the slug. Jabba shifts uncomfortably. "That is not the question, Hutt. The question is, are you?" Jabba lets out a forced chuckle. "Oh Jedi, always making everything so difficult. Vader tilts his head. Behind him he noticed now the room was filled once again, except this time not with silence. Creatures and aliens of all shapes and sizes stand there, blasters trained on Vader. He tightens his grip on his lightsaber and ignites his crimson blade. He allows the dark side of the Force to engulf him. He feels the fear of all the creatures as they step back in shock. Before anyone can react, he spins and starts cutting down everyone in his way. His fury and hatred drown out the cries of the victims in his path. He deflects hundreds of laser bolts, each of them coming back to hit its target. Vader deflects a stray shot to hit Jabba's console, opening the trapdoor to the Rancor pit. He commands the Force to push a Gamorrean guard into the hole, as the guard lets out a yell. In no time, the room is left with a few stragglers, which are quickly cut down. Vader stands in the middle of the wreckage he had just created. Bodies lay on all sides of him. He turns to look back at Jabba, who avoids his gaze. "Lord Vader, let us not be hasty." Jabba stops short. His eyes slightly bulge and his hands grope at his neck. Vader clenches his fist. "You called me a Jedi. You know nothing. Mind tricks are not of the dark side. We prefer Force. Do you understand?" Jabba's tongue hangs out of his mouth as he struggles to regain air passage. Vader stares enraged at Jabba. Jabba manages to let out a small yes. Vader releases his fist and steps closer to Jabba. "You drive a hard bargain. It is difficult not to respect that. Better. This is what I need." Vader waits on a small mesa in the desert of Tatooine. He looks out to the sun and watches the infinite sand dunes. Old memories that he thought he locked out came racing back to him. With each thought he clenched his fist even harder in anger. The dark side of the Force engulfs him. He begins shaking in pure hatred. He thinks of his mother's last moments, and then finally, Padme. He looks up slowly at the smoke coming up from the sky. The ground shakes from under him as he clenches his fist. His vision is blurred by his sorrow and hatred. The boulders start cracking and splitting apart, and then he stops. He turns around to see who is behind him. "You're the client?" The voice comes from behind a helmet. "I am. And you're the best Jabba has. Are you bounty hunters up for the challenge?" "Give us the mission, you'll see." Boba Fett stands with his companion, waiting to be assigned his task. A large Wookiee stands at his side with a large scar running down his face. There's an X-Wing pilot. He knew an Obi-Wan Kenobi. He left this planet aboard a smuggling vessel called the Millennium Falcon. Boba nods. "I know the ship. Dead or alive?" "Alive. I have need of him." Vader finishes explaining the task as he stares into Tatooine's twin suns. Vader stares into the flames in front of him as he says, "I've been delayed on this planet long enough, and all my present business is concluded." He walks into the burning Tusken camp surrounded by bodies and gaffy sticks. Well everyone, that concludes the first episode of Vader's Untold Stories. This specific story came from the Darth Vader Volume 1 comic. I would highly recommend it. Now, as you guys have probably noticed, this video was very different from my past ones, and I think I'll do an episode of this series every other week, and I'll do more fact and theory videos in between. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more content like this. I really appreciate the support and all the help you guys have given me to do this. Goodbye everyone, and may the Force be with you.